Welcome everyone to Business Growth Opportunities with the reopening of international borders. Today I have with me a few distinguished guests to basically talk about this very happy, I think, global event where everybody can now again travel again. So before I begin, I'd just like to go through a few housekeeping notes for everybody's benefit. So we'd like to thank you in advance to please mute your audio and turn off your video so you do not interrupt the open discussion session. If you do have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat box so that anytime during the discussion, so that I can help you ask them towards our distinguished panel. Yeah, and also like at the end we'll have probably a question and answer session, so you feel free to turn on your audio and video to ask them personally. As well as this session will also be broadcasted live on Facebook, so feel free to share it with your peers who may benefit from this session. All right, so without further ado, I'd like to also introduce the panel. So first up, I just go as accordingly here. So first up, we have Mr. Paddy Tan, Managing Partner at Blackstone Consulting. Paddy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, thanks, Ivan. Yeah, hi everyone. This is Paddy. I'm based here in Singapore, and I'm actually one of the managing partners of Blackstone Consulting together with my two other colleagues. Yeah, so I've been doing consultancy work, doing fixing work and stuff like that for the past 15 years. So I hope that I can share some information and some knowledge over these the next few minutes. Thanks.
Right. Thank you, Paddy. Moving on, we have Mr. Kiran Sridharan, from Managing Director of Spade Consulting. Do you want to say a few words, Mr. Kiran?
Thanks, Evan. So, hi everyone. My name is Kiran. I run Spade Consulting. I'm based out of Singapore. We have presence in Singapore, India, and Dubai, and we primarily provide corporate advisory services across Asia, Middle East, and Africa. So, looking forward to sharing notes on this webinar. Thanks.
And finally, we have Mr. Peter Ho, Managing Partner at Quotient.
Hey, hi. Thanks, Ivan. Hi, this is Peter. I'm from Quotient Sdn Bhd in Malaysia, based in Malaysia, and we're operating in Malaysia, Singapore, and India. A bit of the background: I've been in the telco business for about 25 years. And recently I'm moving into IT development, and there's a lot of work done around transformation as well. So glad to be here together with Paddy, Kiran, and Ivan on this session.
Yes, glad to have you, Peter. So yes, really distinguished panel today to share their insights on the topic of hand. So let's get started. Right. So obviously, borders are now reopening for travel. That people, international trade is expected to continue as normal after 2 years of a global pandemic. Also, currently now in Asia, one of the largest trade blocs in the world has been implemented, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, which basically includes 15 member countries which account for about 30% of the world's population. Which includes some of the largest economies as well, like China, Indonesia, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and Malaysia as well are signatories in it. So analysts have said that this trade bloc is going to offer significant economic gains for the nations, boost pandemic economic recovery, as well as pull the economic center of gravity back towards Asia. So with borders reopening and the RCEP in place, what commercial opportunities do you guys that are available now that you guys see? That's my first question. Anybody is open to answer?
Well, I could start. Unless Paddy, you want to go first?
No, it's okay. Go ahead. I pressed on the wrong button.
Mr. Kiran, feel free to just give your insight.
So see, basically one thing that I have noticed is for sectors like hospitality, tourism, F&B, there has been a lot of pent-up demand. So you will see a surge in these sectors primarily. I think that's opportunity number one. Opportunity number two, I foresee is there will be increased M&A. This will, in my personal opinion, be driven by two factors. One is with the rising inflation, there will be difficulty for newer companies to survive, which may result in more attractive valuations, which may result in consolidation. And second, of course, with borders reopening, the ability to transact face to face, the ability to do more in-person business. I think M&A is something that will increase in the months to come. So yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah, I do agree. Just to add on to what was said earlier, I think one of the few things that a lot of us have been working at home for for the past 2 years, especially for business folks that like country like Singapore so small, we tend to travel quite a fair bit. So when we travel, it also means that I think the traveling industry will definitely pick up. But to fully recover to the pre-pandemic, I think it will take a while. But what would be interesting would be that unless another huge pandemic comes again, hopefully no, I think the travel industry by and large itself should be on the way to sort of recover. But what's interesting is not just a flight, the transportation itself, but folks who actually land, you need transportations, you need a Grab, you probably need Uber. Then there will be accommodations, there will be food, there will be restaurants. I think a lot of these the food and beverages industry will definitely start to pick up, because whatever is said and done, if you just depends on the local consumption itself, it may not be as large as if you have travelers coming in, because when we are talking about deals are being done, entertainment are being conducted, and all this and that also means that your other stuff like your entertainments, your events, your activities, all these your MICE will probably be one of those industries that should be rapidly getting the full impact, at least over the next 6 to 12 months. That's how I see it.
Yeah, very much back to normal, I feel. Mr. Peter,
hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully no other variants come along. Yeah, Mr. Peter, you want to add?
I think this is the question that we've been asking ourselves for 2 years. And I think this is the area where the answer is supposed to be. Okay, what are you supposed to do now? Okay, enough talking, enough waiting and things like that. I think totally agree with Paddy and Kiran. Tourism is one huge impact. And a few of the guys that I know who's in the business of tourism, particularly in Malaysia, they are scrambling for the last 2 years. They have to change totally from what they were doing. Okay, there's no inbound, there's no outbound traveling and things like that. So we've been talking, and last week, incidentally, was talking to Mr. Ng from MATA. So the governing body of the Tourism and Malaysia Association for tour and travel agents for all the members and so on and so forth. So how geared up are you for the domestic market, and also how geared up are you for the international market? Those are the two big ones. International market, of course, brings more money to any country, whether it's Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, and so on and so forth. Those are very, very crucial. Okay, and if you look at one of the largest people or travelers for the last couple of years, it actually comes from China. Okay, so those are the huge market. Are you ready for it and things like that? Unfortunately, our border is open, theirs is not. So I think that's also a bit of a challenge. It's exactly what Paddy said. It will take a bit of time because some of the countries can't travel yet. Okay, we can travel for the outbound and things like that. Okay, now easing off of all these things, I think there are new SOPs as well. So Paddy can fly out KL anytime now. Okay, no PCR test anymore. Kiran as well.
It really cost me a lot of money, man.
Yeah. Exactly. Cost of flight, accommodation, testing all the time. So these are the costs implied for the business as well. So these are all going away, slowly going away, particularly for Malaysia and Singapore and surrounding countries as well. Thailand, these are all moving away. Indonesia as well. So these are the areas. The other thing is, have you done enough for your place on your tourism or whatever it is your business is with this opening? So I look at it from two perspectives. It could be from, again, like what I said, a dear Mata in Malaysia. They are doing a lot of events now. They're planning a lot of events. Even during the lockdown, it was online events, but now they are now really moving into on-ground events. Now, on-ground events has a huge impact. For the last couple of days, if you look at the Hari Raya holidays, particularly I can speak for Malaysia, is huge crowds are out there today at the shopping mall. And Ivan keep on nodding. I think I had a lot of difficulty getting into a restaurant for the last few days if I was dining out. Okay, it shows that how it's going to come back for the domestic market at least. Okay, now is how the international market. Of course, the government also play a role. Malaysia government recently started a very interesting grant. Okay, a grant of 50 million ringgit in Malaysia. It's called the GSSP. It's called Grant Sepadan Sekutu Pelancongan. So it's basically for the tourism. How do you pull all these local companies and all these associations together? Grants from 500,000 to $1 million ringgit given out to organizations to organize events. Okay, now the events could be here within Malaysia or internationally. Now, how do you now pull these people into your country? And I think similarly, the other Southeast Asia countries will have all these all these initiatives as well. Back to you, Ivan.
Okay, thank you for the insight. I mean, like certainly a lot has been opening up. I myself can also vouch for what Mr. Peter has said, that really shopping malls are packed with people now. It's like the pandemic never happened. But of course, I mean, in a way, the pandemic did actually leave like a lasting legacy, even though you can say that things are still normal, like borders are closed, and yet, you can also argue that the world has gotten smaller with, all your all these like Zoom calls also popping up. But so now I want to ask also, like, in terms of the international market, like Peter mentioned, like what are the best ways for businesses if they want to enter like a new market, seeing the many golden opportunities just waiting for them out there? How would you guys suggest?
Let me answer on this because I think just I was talking about the recent trip. I've already did about 4 trips to KL. Because I was waiting for a lot of other countries to open up. In fact, I'm actually waiting for Taiwan to open up because I don't want to get quarantined for 7 days. That's too long. I think one of to answer the question, I think the first few things that we need to look at is that what are the things that we should not do first? Because lots of people will always have on the assumption that after 2 years pandemic, things may probably or things should go back to the way it was. I don't really think it will 100%. Because especially in the way we are doing business, especially when you are dealing with businesses that have been greatly impacted negatively, expecting it to go back to the way it was may probably quite difficult. Because one of the things that we a lot of us, I could say a lot of us actually work from home for past 2 years, and because of that kind of behavior, the kind of environment, it does change the way we see things. I wouldn't say it as you want to fly in just the way like previously. Last time I used to travel to Thailand, Malaysia, and all this. Couple of days is good enough for me. 2-3 days is good enough. But now the reason why I've been going back so many times is because I realized that even if I'm there for 2 weeks, I still don't have enough days to do a lot of other things. Partly it's because everybody is like, hey, we are finally released. Okay, everybody know that we need to make some money. It's not that we are greedy, but the thing is that the losses that you have suffered for the past 2 years is huge. Okay, then there are also there are companies that benefit from it greatly, but majority of the businesses don't really benefit it. Unless you're someone who owns a hospital, someone who owns a vaccine, stuff like that. But otherwise, most of the people are not. So that's why people are coming back with vengeance. And when you are coming back with vengeance, I think a few things that a lot of people will say, hey, let me get out of the country, go tap into another market. Yeah, but take note, you're basing on knowledge and experience that you had for the past 2 years, but also prior to that. So if you're going to use the same set of understanding, and then I try to do exactly what you've been doing, you may be actually coming in with a huge shock. Like for example, the couple of trips that I made to KL, I've been to KL so many times. Okay, but the thing is that this time I go back. I went back around in December. That cost me $400 to take a plane from Singapore to Malaysia. They come back. $400 is really expensive. So I realized that one thing is that this time when I was back in KL, I realized the people are very different now. Are very different. There's a huge sense of urgency. I mean, I'm not saying Malaysians don't have. Okay? I don't want to get walled up on that. But what I'm saying is that you can see that the sense of urgency is huge, man. It's really, really huge. Because that means that people sit down, they tell you what they want, they expect certain things back from you. That means that we get things done very fast. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then let's say then we move on. Then they were like, okay, hi, how long are you there? Okay, you gotta be here. Okay, if I come here, we talk about this, we can make decisions. Okay, then bam, 2, 3 days later, let's start, and then 2, 3 days later, let's start rolling. I think this is something that I don't quite expect to have. So I think to scale a company, it may aim for a surprise that you'll probably thought that others may be taking a while. We're using the same old concept, like, if I go to certain countries, down there, the folks are slightly, take a long time to come back to you. But I think now with this urgency, a lot of people are actually coming back very quickly and making certain decisions. But this also may bring the dark side of it, which is decision making may actually, not like maybe like an impromptu kind of decisions, and then only to regret it later. So to answer, I don't really have an answer at this, but what I feel is that let's not all rush into it. It may get very exciting, your adrenaline may be running and rushing and everything, but I think it's still business concepts, business model, all these are structuring, still need to take a step back to see what you're planning rather than just rush into it and then only to regret it later. I mean, this is how I see it. I don't know about you guys.
I think Paddy, to echo what you say, it's always been the fundamental of business. So you gotta understand what are you going into, particularly Southeast Asia. Maybe if you for the benefit of the audience and stuff like that about Southeast Asia, you could understand the basic fundamental of some key numbers. Like, for example, is the market big enough? So to give you some numbers, like the population of 662 million in Southeast Asia, is that big enough? Is that what you're going after? But again, each of the Southeast Asia country has a diversity, a lot of diversity, different ways and stuff like that. If you go around, okay, so that's the culture, how it is. And of course, if you look at from where some of the works that I do is focusing around IT development and also on digitization. Okay, now you really have to look at the business that you're running. If you're in a digital world of running of that business, then this is a very mobile first centric area of the globe. Okay, we're talking about penetration of mobility 130% in this region. Okay, and we're also talking about this is very interesting for those people who's on marketing, social media. So it's about 63% of the people in this Southeast Asia region are on social media. Okay, name any of the social media, they'll be on. Okay, and I think between Malaysia and Indonesia, we probably have the most friends on Facebook. I think I remember reading it up sometime back on Facebook. That is something that's huge in the marketplace and so on and so forth. And of course, I think each of the countries, government and entities who are trying to drive more business in the country, they will of course focus a lot on how do we bring new things. Example from digitization perspective, and also maybe transportation and also the infrastructure perspective. Okay. Now, once you get into all this, you know that the 2 years you have never seen anything of a full lockdown. So how do you scramble from a logistic viewpoint? How do you deliver goods? How do you now non-digitized become a digitized? I get all these questions all the time for the last 2 years. How do I digitize? You as simple as you start off a simple website for a company. That's how you start off. That's how people communicate with you. If you're locked down, you know where to be seen, you know where to be found. You can't even get on the street and things like that. So the step number one of digitization is just get yourself a website. Okay, get yourself onto the social media. These are the things that I think has a lot of opportunity and understanding. Okay, with or without pandemic, I think digitalization also needs a roadmap for organizations. So if you have a roadmap looking into it, go back to the basic fundamental, I think you have a chance in any positioning of any of the market. Yeah.
Mr. Kiran, you have anything to add?
Muted, I think.
Yeah, you're muted.
No, I agree. I mean, see, digitization, you got to start first somewhere. You can't really wait for things to happen. And as Peter said, I think the first step is getting your website correct, getting your social media presence right, getting your target audience right, developing a strategy along those lines. The targeting becomes a very big aspect. And then, of course, you have to look at each process, each system, and then say that, okay, this is how it's meant to work. Now, the good thing or the positive that the pandemic has given us is definitely uh, it has broken a lot of stereotypes that this can't happen, you can't work without an office, you can't work without meeting in person. All those things are gone. It's tested now, so people have been working without meeting each other for close to slightly more than 2 years now. So uh, Zoom has become a part of life, Teams has become a part of life, and people have realized that yes, I could sit in my living room and get the same level of productivity, if not more. So digitization, yes, to some extent has inevitably come into our lives, maybe with or without us knowing. But of course, this is just a starting point. Lives have been changed, and I think it's the start of many big things to happen.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kiran. We do have a question from the audience. So Mr. Murphy is asking, like, how do you see the people helping industry evolving moving forward? People helping.
Sorry, people
Yeah.
helping is, what's the definition?
Yeah.
Are we talking about healthcare? Are we talking about consultations? Are we talking about?
Can you be more specific?
I think it's anything that has a touch point. It could be coaching, it could be training,
coaching.
it could be,
Okay.
I think he's talking about reskilling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you see? Okay, I think this is a huge market. I mean, okay, I'm a bit biased, partly because I own a couple of these kind of companies. Okay. I think whether the coaching and all this, during the pandemic, I think it is already thriving a lot, much more than the usual. Partly it's because of loss of job. I think this is one real fact. Lots of people lost their jobs during the period of time. In fact, well, the big resignation also happens. People quit their job. There's a voluntarily, but there are also people who got fired, retrenched, reduced, blah blah blah, and a whole bunch of this. The sad truth is that when we are busy, some of us are actually we really spend 100% into our job, and we may not have the opportunity to look at other opportunities. No, we don't have the chance to look at other opportunities that may require other skill sets and all this. I think so. Whatever said and done, I think during the pandemic, a lot of people actually went into a sort of a situation across junction where they need help. I think this is where coaching comes in. I think this is where upskilling comes in. But however, I mean, I know that today's topic is more of like, the borders open up and all this. I think it is much more in demand than ever. Okay, three main reasons. I mean, this is how I see it. Number one, maybe during that period of times, there wasn't any opportunity for you to relook into your career, for you to relook into your life. Coaching doesn't necessarily have to be only for career. It can be for life also, life coaching and all this kind of stuff. I think so a lot of people start to take a different perspective of life. So, but in order to figure it out, so coaching is actually one coach. The life coaches, all this is actually one of those avenue that you can actually embark on. But also at the same time, there are also others who sort of figure it out along the way. They take courses, they take studies about all this, and then they realize, hey, I actually have a lot of experience to share. It may not be everything. Sometimes, just by learning how to be happy, that itself is a huge vertical. Just teaching you how to be happy. We are not talking about just laugh, just smile. No, sometimes it's about the mental health. Sometimes it's going to the inner space or something. All this. I think that itself is important, especially even like today. A lot of us actually realize, hey, mental health is something not to be ashamed of. Now, apparently, a lot of us do have mental health issues that we do not know until when we are in sort of in the situations that we realize, oh, actually, I'm suffering from depression without knowing it. And then when you start talking to people, and everybody is like, yeah, apparently, it's nothing to be ashamed. Because I don't know. I mean, in Southeast Asia or at least in Asia, seems like anything that's mental health, all this, you're supposed to keep quiet. If you have family members who are who are not doing that well. You're not supposed to let people know, not that kind of stuff, you see. And then the third thing is that I think the coaching helps people to do transitions better. Help people to do transitions better. Like for example, like now more than ever, I'm not going to talk about the old folks because a lot of people always talk about the old folks during transitions. I'm talking about more the younger crowd. Just imagine you're someone who just graduated, and then you got the pandemic. You hit the pandemic. So the whole 2 years, you're doing nothing. Okay, not your fault. You're trying to get a job. The company probably not even available to interview you. Probably not. So ended up is like you're in the situation of I don't have enough experience, but I got debts to pay, and then I'm trying to find my footing in the world. Okay, and the world is just not ready for me. And if that is the case, then you see other folks that are doing the big resignation. So lots of people are voluntarily quitting and everything. And then when you're like the situation of I can't get a job, I don't have experience, so it becomes a cycle. And I think these are the folks these days, they're actually getting coaches to help them quite a fair bit. I mean, this is how I see it. Yeah, that's my take. Thanks.
Maybe I can add on, Paddy, maybe 2 examples about coaching, reskilling and stuff like that. Malaysia lockdown started in March 18, and I was still with a local multinationals at the time. My role was to manage about the country's probably 10,000 dealer network touch points out there, and so on and so forth. So you can imagine that on that day when the announcement comes 2 or 3 days before March 18, say March 18 is going to be the lockdown, and there's a bit of panic, there's a bit of anxiety. It's because when you lock down, first thing you do is that you can't go back to your office. The retailer shops, they are not allowed to be open at all. Okay, so the question will be 2 things. One, how do you help your people to continue to sell, because their livelihood is there, their income is there. Number 2, we also got an issue now where everybody who was working in a full office, aircon, and with internet access, now you have to go home to your living room, living hall, or even your own room to start working. So how do you start that, and how do you do that? Now, predominantly, if you know digital, you know internet, you know the focus of the peak hour of a Monday to Friday, all the internet access is actually being utilized at the organization or your office, in short. Now, you got a workforce of Malaysia, I think is around in the region about 15 million, okay? And say half of them, 8 million, needs internet access, every single one of them. You have internet access at home now, requirement, there's a huge requirement, shops cannot open. So what's gonna happen? So you have to totally revamp your business from one perspective. Secondly, you need to revamp the thinking of your reseller, the guys who, what we call peddling SIM cards on the street. Okay, you can't see face to face and things like that. So what we did was to coach them. How do we coach them? One, we make sure our digitalization processes at the entire e-commerce platform that we have, we can now deliver to a home. Log into some website page, buy a SIM card, will be delivered within 24 hours in Klang Valley. Anything outside of Klang Valley, furthest into Sabah, Sarawak, and things like that, will be a 72 hours SIM card at your doorstep. Now, this also dependent on another party, which is the logistic. Now, then the selling part. Before the guys can go out and sell, they hardly know Facebook Live. They don't even know how to press the button, where to press. Okay. Now, after teaching them where to press the button for a Facebook Live, the next thing, you're going to teach them how to sell. Now, they're talking to a phone. They've never done that. They always play with the phone. They always speak to a customer. Now, that rescaling is kind of like you have to change that mindset, coach them how to be able to stand in front of a camera, which is a phone now, and start talking for hours and hours. Okay, sell your USP, sell whatever you needed. Make up your Facebook page. Make sure your Facebook page is up to date. Make sure your Facebook page has a link. Make sure the link has an event. You make sure you have 2 events per day. So that process has to be worked out within a matter of weeks. going back into the marketplace. So it becomes something that you got to teach so many people, okay, of the new business and the new way to run that business. Okay. So I think to answer that question, huge opportunity, whether pandemic or without pandemic, is huge opportunity on coaching, huge opportunity on the rescaling. Okay, that's how I see, whether it's Malaysia, Singapore, or anywhere in Southeast Asia.
Just to add on, I think very good points, and especially the point on mental health, I think it's a very strong point. But having said that, I mean, as the world gets more digital, as people, as jobs get more and more automated, people who don't upgrade themselves or reskill themselves will find themselves unemployed at some point or the other. The skills need to be refreshed at any given point in time. So I think coaching has a big role to play, and I think it is one of those industries which eventually will stand the test of time. I mean, if whether you deliver it through online means or in person, coaching is coaching. You know, there has to be some person who's delivering content. So I think it's a big opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kiran, for helping answer that question. So actually, my next question is for the rest of you is, what are the major challenges businesses are currently facing now with this boom in the global economy? I mean, for one thing, I can say that F&B businesses are running short on labor supply. They don't have enough workers to basically meet the huge influx of customers coming into their store. So that is a problem as well. It's a good problem to have, I would say, but it's still a problem nonetheless. So like, what other challenges do you guys?
I think customer service is important. I mean, not just the F&B face funding. I think because of the boom, okay, which whatever you call it, is that everybody should recognize that after so long, everybody start coming in. So you have clientele, you have potential partners that are flying everywhere, coming in, everything, and even as any company, you probably face a huge number of demands coming in, saying that, hey, I want this, I need this. Like case in point, like our company, we help companies do scaling. We help companies structure their business or restructure their business. All along we have clienteles, but now we realize, hey, a lot of people are looking into Southeast Asia. For example, Russia, Ukraine war, it went longer than what everybody expected. Went longer than nobody actually expected it to last more than 10 days, 14 days. Now it's like what, 50, 60 days already. And then the oil prices goes up, everything goes up. So then it also creates a lot of demands and a lot of expectations. I think one of the things that we have to look at is actually the customer service. Whether is it your face funding customer service, your replying or whatever, I think this is important because the impression will always last. Okay, nobody really remember good customer service. Okay, sad to say, most of us will probably take it as okay, that's expected. Okay, but everybody will remember when it's a bad customer service. And the sad truth is that when you have a huge demand, then smaller supply, temper tend to flare up, people get frustrated and all this. I think the customer service, if you don't handle well, will have a huge impact in your business. Not now, but definitely down the road. Because I think you can already see people are complaining here and there. Especially Singaporeans love to complain a lot for every single thing. Okay, I'm a Singaporean, so I can say that you complain a lot for every small thing and big thing. I think there are there are noises out there, but I think no matter whatever said and done, customers may not always be right. But as the bosses, as the employers of the company, you have to draw the line that customers may not always be the right, but you still have to draw the line that customer service is still important. Agreeing to disagree, disagreeing to agree, is still a customer service. I think that is important in every aspect of the business or every aspect of the industry. Thanks.
Paddy, maybe since you talk a bit about customer service, I'll talk a bit about sales perspective. Okay, I think challenges is always in the business when you want to get into a new area or you want to go into something new. You would typically look at okay, your sales funnel, your sales, how you're going to go after producing a product and start selling and things like that. I think all this also drives down to fundamentals, okay? Fundamentals of landscape, fundamentals of the business, transactions. I think one of the key things is to do a bit more research. Research on the country, research on the people, research on the product that you're selling, research on your competitor. That's huge. There's a very huge place in your competition. Okay, understand your competitor is also very huge. Then work down all the way to the type of business model if you really want to look at sales. Okay, now this has always been a challenge. I think you and I always get this question: how can I sell more? How can I increase my top line? And so on and so forth. So those are the things that people will always ask, particularly someone who's not familiar with Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore. Okay, they don't understand the landscape a bit. They don't understand the culture a bit. Okay, so then these kind of questions will always come up. So in sales, you could look at how you want to go to market. Do you want to set up an agency model, for example? Okay, or do you look at a distribution model? Okay, and of course, last but not least, everybody talks about digitization, e-commerce. So is e-commerce the right way to go for your product and things like that? Now, all these questions and all these challenges has always been lingering. Even every one of us, even myself, okay, if I want to go to a new market, how do I approach it? How do I look at it from that perspective? Of course, customer service will come along with it, because at the end of the day, someone who buys that product and so on and so forth will be able to consume it, use it. They also expect certain service out of it, and think like, how do you support the entire business? So overall, I think this kind of challenges has always been there. Fundamentally is go back to the fundamentals. Look at some of these things. With pandemic, no pandemic, reopening of borders or not, guys, this is still the same fundamentals of looking at things.
Peter, it's interesting that you talk about the reports and all this. Quite strange. We the world just opened up. Okay, so we have some companies, not our client, they actually approach us saying, hey, we want to enter into this market. This is what we wanted to do, blah, 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 blah. And then, so, we usually have to do interviews before we sign it up. So to find out what they know. And we do realize is that a lot of them actually have survey done and all this. And that was pre-pandemic. So I think one of the biggest risks that I always share with them is that, okay, you have all your statistics, figures, and everything. Okay, but these are all before the pandemic. So I usually suggest to them, you may want to spend some money to relook into the whole entire thing. Okay, and on the way, because like the one who make the decision to buy is a human. And then when all of us are cooped up like a chicken, in a farm for 2 years, I think everybody changed. Everybody changes the way we see things, the way we do things, the way we behave and everything. So I always tell them, you may not want to take all information to enter into a market, where the dynamic, the whole thing, the whole ecosystem may have already changed without you knowing it. So if you want to go in to do that, it's actually quite high risk. And we do have some of those folks that say, no, our kind of industry is always the same. It will never change. So case in point, we have one fella, quite interesting. They talk to us. They are doing instant noodle. Okay, so they talk to us about it. So okay, we are not strong in F&B at all. We are not strong in F&B, but we know the manufacturer, we know the ecosystem, but not the how to sell an instant noodle. Okay, not those. More of the lifestyle. So the first thing they ask is that, how do you know people actually like to eat instant noodle? They say everybody like to eat instant noodle. I say, yeah, but can you imagine eating instant noodle for the past 2 years? I think the moment you come out, you may not want to spend time eating it. I don't know. I mean, for me, it's like, I'd rather go out to have, to have a cooked meal. So unless the instant noodle is something that can replace it, otherwise, I think the positioning has to be very different. But to them, it's like, it's okay. We got the survey, we got all this done 2 years ago, so it should be okay. I said, no, anything that's 6 months over, especially when people changes, I think it's very dangerous to just go in blind. Thanks.
One big area, you're right, is consumer behavior. Consumer behavior changes constantly, especially when you are in a very dynamic market. And if a disruptor comes in and introduce a new product, that will have a huge impact on the consumer behavior. So that's one of the things to look at, to really look at.
Yeah, Mr. Kiran, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at trends that exist today, now, of course, the government policies play a big role. Although borders have opened up, but the job market really hasn't opened up. Singapore case in point, it's not the easiest. Even if we have even if a company in Singapore has an opportunity which needs to be filled, and it is not able to fill it locally, getting an employment pass is still going to be a massive challenge. F&B is a very good example where there are lots of opportunities or there are lots of vacant positions available, but there are not enough people who are either interested in picking it up, or there are not enough people who are interested in doing those smaller level jobs. Another thing, I mean, I'm sure you have noticed it in Singapore, since the restrictions were eased, the taxi fares have shot up through the roof. It's almost 2 to 3 times of what it used to be prior. Now, that is again a demand supply equation. So it's just that a person who was driving a cab maybe a month back has already moved into an office now. There are not enough cabs on the road. So things like that do happen, and it is the new reality. Yeah,
Kiran, there's this joke among a few of us. It's because of Grab loss is valuation. that's why the taxi fare is so expensive to cover the losses.
recovery. You know, see, in shipping we have this a similar joke. You know, the container ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal, right? So a trade stopped for a moment, trade stopped for that period, and then suddenly container rates went through the roof. Now the ship is long pulled out, the canal is open, but the rates are still there. So
really?
it's crazy. I mean, it's how the world reacts. But you know, I was reading the other day, McDonald's is now offering joining bonuses for flipping burgers. That's how bad the labor shortages come to you.
Flipping burgers bonuses, is it?
Joining bonus.
Yeah, joining bonus. Yeah, good. You have to do what you have to do, basically.
True.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, like, but in terms of challenges like facing business when they want to expand overseas, you know, like as you mentioned, the Suez Canal also, like with I think it was called the Evergrande, the ship when it's, you know, so it's like new supply and value chains having to find.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody got anything to add to that?
Sorry, was that a question or?
Yeah. Like, what's the major challenges facing businesses wanting to expand overseas in terms of overseas expansion?
I think one other thing that a lot of us have to look at. Realistically speaking, talent is a shortage in everywhere. Yeah, I mean, not all the industry, not necessarily all the industry, but people have choices now. We have much more choices compared to last time, and there's also new industry that or probably spun off that could have never been possible, and so now more folks have a lot of choices, and also at the same time, there are also these huge big resignations that has been ongoing. A lot of people are really sick and tired of they don't want to go back to office for whatever reasons. I mean, I believe that everybody have very good reason to quit a paying job, or maybe there are more companies are looking for talents willing to pay much more. I think this is the part that one of the biggest challenges that you do not want to expand your business without having to have capable people. I think this is important. It's very tough to get capable people because it's no more I'm the boss, I select you. Now it's more of like let's see what we can do together and to build something up. Partly it's because previously, you may need someone to be physically there. But after 2-3 years of conditioning, I mean, remote working is not new, to be honest. It's just that it was not widely adopted across all the industry. Because there are still a lot of industries that definitely cannot do remote, But there are also a lot of industries that has sort of like has to pivot. I think one of the biggest challenges that we always have to understand is that talent is always important. But however, you also don't want to be held ransom that on the situations where anything, you got to pay top money just to do that, because they are already. I mean, I've already seen quite a lot of those folks. They are jumping from one job to another job because every jump is probably 10%. Every jump is probably 10%, and they can even some of them can even do a cost recovery by jumping 2-3 times within a very short period of time to probably even go back to much higher than what they have. So I think one of the things that we have to take note is that when you expand into overseas, you don't want to have set up the fundamental foundations is so weak that the things doesn't come in, and then you get so excited about the sales coming in, and then you have to patch along. I think this one requires quite a lot of strategic planning before you execute it. Thanks.
Okay.
I think to add on what Paddy said, people, it's a huge area, definitely. Every customer that you speak to, every partner that you speak to, they will talk about resource. Either the salary is going up, or they just lost a couple of staff, including our own company. We lose staff every other 1-2 weeks and things like that. We're going to rehire engineers and things like that. So the other equation of the thing is, what about systems? What about automations? What about your digitalization plan and things like that? So can some of these things help to mitigate that? Okay, can you automate certain things and so on and so forth? If you look at top management teams and stuff like that, key roles and stuff like that, I think you can. Unfortunately, you still need someone there to drive that business, to drive the roadmaps, to drive the organization and so on and so forth. But if as far as the systems and stuff like that, there could be a potential way to look at building new systems, automations and stuff like that. Now, not only for your own people, for the consumer as well. Now, the other thing is that you look at is the processes. Sometimes it's how you and your organization engage with a consumer. Do they really need to be physical presence? Do they really need to come to your shop? Do you need to come to your store to submit something, to get something or get service and things like that? Okay, can they do it online? So how do you now automate that? How do you now get into your digitization and stuff like that? Okay, the other areas that can probably look at is about some of this support, regulatory support from the government and stuff like that. Could you have gone through an association or yourself gone through the government and speaks about some of these things, the restrictions, the stuff that could remove the barrier of entry, remove a barrier of entry into a new product, a new segment, or even to a country you want to work with and things like that. So I think, again, there are so much of things that you can work around. Sometimes you look at the barrier, it's just too much to bear. You won't have time to look at it anymore. Okay, look at other opportunity. Look at other areas that can help you to build that business faster, more lean. Okay, and look at some of these key areas where it can help you to go faster. Okay, so that's my take as well.
No, I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, it is really an important area to look at. But see, if you're looking at international business expansion, I would believe that all the challenges that existed prior to the pandemic still continue to exist. Meaning to say, you need to look at your product, you need to look at the market fit, you need to look at the cultural issues, the sensitivities for each and every market, the legal barriers to entry, the practices that prevail, which may or may not be similar to the legal practices over there. So there are a lot of unwritten rules of doing business. It may not be as transparent. I mean, take a simple example. The way in which business is done in Singapore, vis-a-vis if I jump across and start doing the same practices in Indonesia and expect the same results, that wouldn't be proper. So there are certain sensitivities that need to be appreciated. So those challenges will never go away, and it requires experience on the ground. So.
Yeah, just to add on, I feel one thing that we have to take note. Couple of challenges that we have to understand is that the landscape definitely will change for sure, one way or another. The other part is that I think, as I mentioned earlier, talent is also one thing that we need to look at. But one of the biggest advantage that it's not really a trick, but it has been ongoing for many years, but this may actually be a good time to sort of deploy it. If you're a company that, that's already profitable and all this, and already planned for a while and plan to go overseas and all this, I would say that, what you don't have is time. Time. What you don't have is time. So some companies will try to do too many. Some company will do too little. When I say too many, it simply means that they were like, okay, guys, the world has opened up. Everybody, let's fly to Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, all at the same time. I think you are trying to capture the market, but then again, you don't have the same time. Everybody got 24 hours, and to be fair, you can't try to push what you have lost for the past 2 years into the next few months and try to sort of like ended up overcompensating. My take here is that if you're already a profitable company doing well and all this, maybe take it a bit slower. This is one, because sometimes you don't want to burn out your folks. Okay, not everybody has recovered and getting ready to fly. Some folks was like, hey, I still want my freedom. I still want to have my 135 at home, 2 and 4 at office. Yeah, so when you force it too fast, I think it's going to be a huge problem. This is more for those who may want to look into it. The other second thing that I would like to suggest is, again, is surrounding on time. You may not have sufficient time to do so many countries. You may want to consider hiring external party to help you to lay down the groundwork. I think that is important. Like the day I caught up with Kiran, his company do a lot of financial modeling and all this. So that means folks who want to look into the financial sides. I think this is important. I'm not trying to sell a service, but I think it's important that when folks not need to look into the financial model, because if you did the wrong modeling, thinking that I'm going to go to Malaysia, make the money from there, and then use that to finance my entry to Indonesia, I don't think it works this way. Okay, and people are actually looking into it. Because one of the things that they forgot is that during this period of time, you may be using Singapore resources to cover what you're trying to earn in Malaysia, and that is 1 to 3. Okay, again, not my fault. The Malaysia ringgit dropped so much. Okay, so it's a 1 to 3. And then when you try to do that, that means that the cost is actually very high in Singapore side. So, but when you're trying to generate revenue and then trying to use that to cover for your Indonesia expenses, you're actually playing around with 3 currency. I think that is going to kill the company very, very fast. So it may actually be easier, if you were to look into spending slower, okay, but adding higher value, or getting someone who is an external parties who can actually do it faster and better for you, but paid locally. I think that can be one of those strategies that some companies can actually adopt. Thanks.
Paddy, I've seen companies trying to get 100% of the staff back to the office after the opening. It is already so difficult. Don't talk about sending them off to Thailand, Singapore, and so on and so forth. There is a lot of challenge, a lot, including the people who have been working from home. Okay, gotta understand that they have kids. Typically, Malaysians have more kids in the family. Already posing a couple of issues when you're locked down back home, and then you're moving them back into the office and things like that. So there's a lot of domestic matters as well to be taken care.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for that. Speaking of time, we are running out of it. So I guess that we do have a few questions from the audience here. I'll just go about them. So we do have a question from Nicole. What are the best ways for a business to enter a new market?
Okay, a quick answer of it is there's actually no best way, because each and every company function it differently, run it differently. My take here is that the best way is actually to take a flight. Go to the market and really survey, spend some time there, not the 1-2 day, really spend some time there to figure it out, because people changes, everything changes, environment change, transportation, everything, and figure it out what it may be the best after a couple of trips, and nothing beats being there to experience it. You can talk to the associations, talk to the club, talk to the landlord, talk to the warlord, talk to the distributors, talk to people like Kiran, talk to people like like Peter or others. I think that's where you will figure it out. Say, okay, then you can have a conclusion that probably others may not be able to tell you, and by then you will probably find out it may not even be the market that should be entering it anymore. It happens. It happens. I mean, that's my suggestion.
Exactly.
The other
I
one
mean,
is to
yeah.
Kiran,
Sure.
sorry, go ahead.
So I think it's a very good point, because it's a game, right? So your reconnaissance will tell you the best that you need to know about the field and the rules of the game. Now, markets you get into, if take a simple example, there may be requirement to have a local partner. Malaysia, Indonesia being good examples. Now, once you have a local partner, that opens up another set of questions. Do you need an active partner? Do you want a sleeping partner? If you are looking at an active partner, then what is his role going to be in the business? What happens if his ability to contribute reduces over time? Then you just gotten married and he's there for good. If he's a sleeping partner, then how do you keep him asleep? What if he wakes up one fine day and says that, oh, by the way, it's my business now? So, and that's just one question. You talk of other things like what's your currency strategy? You go into Indonesia, the currency tanks. You may be making, say, 7% profits, but your currency loses 9%. Without you doing anything, you lost all your profits, and in fact, you've eaten into capital. Labor strategy comes another thing. You may have labor disputes all over the place. So it's a very customized question. It's not a one size fits all kind of response that's going to be easy.
One more area to probably just Nicole to take a look at is government support. There's a lot of government support information. Like for example, I can speak for Malaysia. Is there are few government agencies like the Invest KL and stuff like that, where they offer information to bring you guys into the country, or even MDEC, or even the MSC. Okay, offers a lot of information if you want to get into the country, tax, regulation, even licensing, doing the business in the country. So I think those information and also statistics info about the people regarding about how you can approach them with your product and things like that. I think there is a lot of information that you can really get on ground. Yeah.
I suppose also it'd be good to basically just hire an expert with a lot of knowledge of traveling a lot, like Paddy, for example. When I go to
and we have Ivan in Malaysia as well.
I'm for hired.
Right. Okay. We do have another question from Sharon. What are the best examples of businesses and startups that you have seen that have been thriving here?
Okay, mental health definitely going. Okay, sounds wrong. I want to say going crazy, but the mental health startups. I think a lot of med tech, health tech benefit from the pandemic. I mean, it's not on purpose, of course. I think this is big. The other part that I see those how should I say services, maid services, domestic helper services. I think it helps a lot, especially during where perhaps before the pandemic, a lot of us don't really take care of our health. And then during the pandemic, some of the folks who got COVID and everything, then you realize, actually health is actually very important. That's where I realized that there is actually a lot of healthcare related businesses are doing very well. But would they last? I don't think so, to be honest. It's not a bad thing, but I think a lot of them will probably need to pivot it quite fast to fit what because last time was that, you got COVID, then you realize, actually I need to, I need to get herbs, I need to get this, get that, and then, do recovery. But somehow a lot of my friends are around my age, those 40, 50 years old, those type, they start to go for the subscription service, which is actually surprisingly, probably a lot of us never even talk about it. They subscribe for healthy snack, they subscribe for healthy food, they subscribe for a lot of other stuff that is supposed to help them mentally and physically. I think this is something that it could have created a very different industry that nobody has actually thought of. I mean, at least in this perspective. Thanks.
Yeah. Anybody else wants to add anything? Any final words? We have a minute left.
I'm
Ivan, I'll probably add on.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably add on two areas. One is consumer behavior. I won't add on to a so specific of type of business or market and so on and so on. So the first one is consumer behavior. I think consumer behavior changes. And I've seen certain industry, consumer behavior can be shaped and is ever changing in a period of like 6 to 12 months. I've seen that, okay, in certain products. So you got to be ready to understand that, to understand why consumer behavior change. One, it could be driven from a product. It could be driven from a demand. It can also be driven from a disruptor coming to the market as a competition place and so on. The other one that I think in the longer term and longer play is about customer experience. What do you really want your customer to experience about your brand or your product? So that's very important. How do you now build that customer experience all the way up to the brand? And how then you maintain that brand? Okay. Well, once you have that brand, does that brand only within the city, within the country, or internationally? So how do you build that? Okay. So that will help you to probably get into a market or any type of a market. Okay. There are so many other factors around it.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that, Peter. So I think we do have one more final question from Mr. Murphy. How do you see coping physical, mental, or emotional capability? I mean, if you ask me, I think people are a lot happier now that they can travel again. So and can go out and about and like do everything, be social creatures again. But I mean, I don't know. The rest of you, do you see another side?
But the virus is still there, man. I mean,
it's still looming over everyone's heads, right?
Yeah, whatever said and done, I mean, it's still got to do a lot of precautions. I mean, to answer the question, how do you see coping physical, mental, or emotional capability? Well, there are a couple of books that came out during this period of time. It's saying that, in reference to, you had a huge disaster. You have a worldwide disaster, something like your World War I, World War II, and everybody suffer. Okay, I mean, I'm not quite sure anyone did not suffer one way or another from this pandemic. I think a lot of people, when they got out from this whole entire so-called fiasco, mental health, all this is definitely different. I think in general, people are going to take care a lot more on their healthcare, on their physical self, taking care, not pampering, but I'm saying that not taking care of themselves a bit more. Mental health, thinking that, knowing that, hey, certain things I can do, I do, certain things I cannot. And of course, I think resilience also built up. I mean, whatever said and done, if we did not die of COVID, we survive. If we survive, means that we have another day to fight. I think it also built up quite a lot of resilience to a lot of people. I mean, well, trying to do business is one thing, but it also make it easier for all of us to understand that we all got out from this shithole. Okay, I think I'm allowed to say that, right? Okay, we got out from this shithole. I think everybody survived. So let's be better to everybody. I mean, I don't know about others, but I try to be less demanding to others. Thanks.
All right. If nobody has anything else to add on that point, so I guess we can just end the session. But before we go, if you'd like to connect with our fellow speakers right here, feel free to scan their LinkedIn codes or start Googling them. Their LinkedIn codes is right here. You can probably ask them more questions if you have. You can send them a connection request and whatnot. Furthermore, if you'd like to find out more, we organize these events quite frequent, so Xperia, our e-learning hub resource, has a lot of stuff that you can basically learn in terms of scaling your business or entering new markets, especially in this boom period. You can get a 14-day free trial for our Xperia platform, and all these resources will be available to you. So do check it out. Also, we do have a bi-weekly newsletter called Why Startups Fail, basically where we help analyze some booming startups who actually have startup failure stories around Southeast Asia with a proven methodology. We use people, product, process. So it's a good learning resource you can subscribe to. The links are on below. And finally, if you'd like to join us for a post-event discussion, feel free to join our Telegram group at the Xperia community. And give your views and points. Paddy's in the group as well. Very active, always happy to reply. So just feel free to join and enter a public discourse on the topics at hand. So without further ado, I'd like to thank our distinguished speakers. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for your insights as well. We hope to have you again. Yeah. And so goodbye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Okay. See you guys. See you everyone. Thank you.
See you. Bye-bye.
Bye.